Hi there, I'm starting a new project which I'm wanting to keep a record of from start to finish. It's quite adventurous for me because it's going to be life-size painting, 6 foot by 2 foot I've went for, which is way bigger than the biggest painting I've did before, and that one was did 20 years ago and that took me like 3 months. So, but doesn't matter how long it takes. I've been inspired to do something big and bold. I think it'll be really effective regardless of what the subject is. The subject in this one is going to be a glamour model. There'll not be much of a background. I'm wanting her to really have an impact and stand out. But I'm already getting ideas for future paintings. So we'll see how this one goes. But I'm wanting to keep a record out for the start. So this is me, got the materials and we'll be getting it prepared because there's a lot of things to do before I actually get on with the actual painting. So we'll have I've went for hardboard. It's really sturdy, but being this large length, it's a bit kind of floppy. So we've got these strapping, and this was only like £4 odd, so big difference in my initial intentions, which was thinking about canvas, which I've never used. That was going to cost like about 100 quid or what's the other thing? Paper. Even the artist paper was really expensive and difficult to get as well. You have to buy that in a roll. So and even thought about plywood too, but and then it's hardboard. This is for me the best surface, and it's going to be light, really lightweight and really cheap. It's just ideal. I should got this, thought about this right at the start, but we're here now. So anyway, this strapping will be measured to fit, and I've got special glue to stick it on. I might put just a couple of pins just round the edge here and there, maybe like 4 or so, just as a slight help. And this will also act as the frame. Frames itself were going to cost a fair bit as well, as much as, well, the least would be 60 quid. So I'm thinking, no, I quite like this modern style where they just hang without any frame at all. You know, that's quite common these days, and I quite like that. So I'm thinking, why even bother with the frame? Because I wasn't going to put glass in it anyway. So this strapping will enable that. This will be placed all around the outside of it. So I'll have this here, and I'll make a sort of frame right round where this will be stuck onto it, and then maybe one across the middle. And when that's on, then it can be just hung up like that with this here will act to hold against, you know, a couple of picture hooks or, you know, nails or whatever. So the first job will be to make out the frame with this stuff, stick that on a centre bar as well, and then prime the hardboard surface. It's a really smooth, nice surface this as well too. So maybe a couple of coats, it's sitting a coat anyway. The strapping will actually go to the rough side on the back there, and I'll be doing that shortly. And then next stage will be then to measure out a grid, where then I'll transfer my intended paint to this. The grid will help me, you know, keep it in proportion and things where they're meant to be, and then it'll be a case of refining it. So that's the materials, and we're ready to start. I'm quite excited about this, which is really good, because you really need to be inspired to take on something like this, especially as big. But I'm really quite looking forward to this. So this is the very start of what I hope will turn out really well when I get to the end of it. So let's see how it goes. Right, now we've built the frame and it's just a matter of gluing that in place and weighing it down, and then next day we'll get it primed. Well, here we are, finally starting to do the sketch. We've got the frame all made. I may have to put other supports in this because some of this is it's kind of bowed slightly. I don't know if it'll make a huge amount of difference, but just cut it more flat so as we're not getting this problem. I maybe need to run a strip down here, and I think I've got enough for one across here to try and keep it all totally flat, because if you see it for the side it's kind of like that. So being that this first time I've done this, we're just finding out things as I go. So it took me too long to explain the problems with sussing out this, but I've eventually made my grid and got a corresponding printout which I've had to split into two, because this is 24 inch by 8 inch. If you multiply that by 3, you get the 72 inch by 24, which is 6 feet by 2. Spent a whole evening working that stuff out, and probably young people would just go, but it took me quite some time. But I finally got there and everything's as it should be. So basically this is how it will be, very straightforward background. It's all about her kind of thing, and what's in each of these boxes will correspond to these. Now it's anything but precise, but this gives you your positioning so that you know your rough guideline, and then it's a matter of then putting all the detail in. Because if you don't have that, you could go about it repeatedly, have a good deal of it done, and then find out it's slightly too far this way or too far, and it really saves a huge amount of time using this method to make sure you have your positioning, because she only barely fits in it, you know, because I'm wanting, the whole point is to do it like life size. So this is me starting to do my sketch, and we'll see how it goes for here. So we have the sketch done now, which I'm quite happy with, and next step is to rub out all the guidelines and the actual drawing itself, so that it's just very light and no any strong lines, and all we're looking for then is just very faint lines to follow for our main positioning, and then it's a matter of developing all the detail and bringing it up. But I'm quite happy with the sketch. Most important thing being the face. Normally I tend to, I'll have it kind of in the region, fairly close but not very precise, and then what I'm finding is when I'm painting it, it can be really difficult and repeated adjustments to get the look a lot closer to the actual person. So this time I've spent a lot more time having the drawing a lot more accurate, so that there's less refining when we actually start painting, because that can be quite tedious. So we've kind of got that out the road with the pencil sketch being quite accurate, and there'll be very little refining. So it's just a matter of having a good guide, which I've got now, and bringing up the detail. But it'll be quite good to get some paint on it and see how this is actually going to be on this kind of surface, which is the first time I've did this. So we'll put some paint on later. It's first day. Just doing the rough work. The real work will come later when we're building up layers and layers of detail. But it's looking quite impressive right at the start, so quite good for now.
Who may not be so well informed. We are with you and giving of our love and blessings for a successful journey. Thank you, Susan.
Contemporary modern forces will be a role model for those under his leadership. Allow me to introduce a bright new shining star of the Canadian military. Come on up here, Russ. Your new base commander, Colonel Russell Wilson.
Right, we've had a complete redo of the face, which I never filmed because it was 50-50 whether I'd even be able to salvage it. I had lost our look that much that, and adjusted it that many times, that there was such a build up of pain, especially the eyes, which are the main part to the look, that I thought I'd lose it, so it was start again case. So what I did was I sandpapered the whole face area with wet and dry sandpaper, which doesn't scratch, and this flattened it out and totally, messed up what was done, but it didn't matter because I'd lost our look so much. And then basically went back and put on white, etc., and then adjusted things for scratch again because there was just far too much build up. So we're still working on it, but I have our look. I'm on the road to our look, and things are where they should be, kind of thing. But this is pretty much a redo because I was actually contemplating having to get a new piece altogether and scrap all of this, which I shouldn't have done all this. I should have finished the face first, because if the face isn't right, then that's it. But anyway, you'll notice for all everything leading up to this that we now have a totally different look, size wise and proportion wise. I had gone a bit wider and stuff like that. But anyway, so for here on, this is the kind of new look which we'll work on to get as it should be, which I'm very close, so I'm glad I did that because I really wasn't pleased with it. So on we go again. Well, we're finally at the end of this process, you might call it. I've just had to stop in the end up because on doing it I discovered quite late on that this direct onto hardboard isn't suitable for doing any amount of detail. It'll not let you build layers, it'll not let you blend. As you start to move on with the paint and you put new layers on, it just shifts the previous stuff and you're just going round in circles as if it's just like one shot, you know, so it just becomes pointless after a while trying to, I mean there's bits I would still enhance, but not really getting anywhere. It's not going to be the painting I intended it, and I wish I'd have known that at the start, so I just wanted to say that and let anybody else know that might stumble on this who's thinking as I was initially a cheaper way to go onto a big format. And if you want to you know, a lot of strong detail, build up layers, which is the only stuff I do. I'm not really wanting to look like painting. I want to look more like a photograph. I'm not interested in making it look arty, you know, and you can't do that with this surface. So I will use this method again, but I've already bought the paper and I'll be sticking the paper on the surface, and then I'll be able to do what I'm capable of, which this just won't let you do. Saying that, when I discovered that after buying expensive paints, because I was blaming the paints and myself and stuff, the expensive paints made no difference either, and that's when I realised, I thought, it's this surface. And then I started looking online and more in depth, and people were saying the same things. And people that do use this tend to use just like colours and stuff. I mean, you really have to wash in the colour to make it blend in any sort of way, otherwise it's just like any difference in colour or another is just like if you stuck it on, which takes away just about all your control. You can't determine how it's coming out, and if you don't wash it in, it's just like a patchwork quilt. So, and you find that out as the layers start to build up. So I wouldn't use this ever again for anything. It's not for what I do. I don't know, and I wouldn't recommend it for anything. But if you're doing some other kind of lighter style or something that just requires a light wash, then it's fine. And the paper's not awfully expensive. When I first looked, 150 quid, 200 quid, but on doing a greater search I found it for 70 quid, and it's like over twice the width of that. It's like, I think it's about 30 feet long, so I can get like about 10 of these, which would imagine would keep me going forever probably. So £70, quite fine, and my expensive paints will then go to some, you know, good use, but on this they're wasted, so I stopped using them when I found out. I just went back to the cheap stuff. But in saying all that, when I discovered, you know, oops, this is never going to be as good as I want it, I did too much yet, and I thought, I don't want to stop now and start afresh. And I was too far on with it, and I thought, I don't want to just scrap what's been done, because I spent that much time, and I do think it does look kind of striking. It's just no, the kind of, I'm not able to develop it the way I wanted, but it does kind of look kind of impressive. But that's how it's going to be, and I'll go into other stuff now. I certainly want to do this format, but I'll definitely be using the paper, you know. But that's it. So, on to the next one now.
That song is Trouble.
Trouble.